p.m. Alrighty. Tried to connect to Kristin earlier. Somehow I got her audio feed, but I couldn't get her video feed. So I'm waiting to get a request from her to join in. And it's actually pouring earlier today, but now it's actually nice sunshine. What's up, Chris? How are you doing, brother? And I'm just waiting for Kristin to come on right now. I think she's never done this before, so I think she has to reset her live feed and go from there. So, you know what? Let me text Kristin real quick. So you might see a pause on my live feed. So oh, there you go. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. So let's join in. Connecting. There you are. Okay, now it works.
Is it working?
Yeah, it's working. Now I can see you. Okay. But you're frozen now on the... Hold on. So there you go. All right, cool.
There we go.
How you doing today?
You had like a spinny wheel in front of you. It looked like it was not a good connection. You can hear me and see me?
I can see you. Yeah, you had that earlier, so I could see you, so
oh, cool.
as long as I can see you, it's all good. So
awesome.
Yeah. Are you at home right now?
I am. I'm home. I had some conference calls earlier today, so an excuse to kind of, wear normal clothes and pretend like I'm going somewhere.
Right.
Well, you're standing in the sunshine. Where are you at?
I'm actually at UTC in Irvine, in the parking lot.
Oh, you are? Okay.
I'm at the trunk of my car. I actually stopped by to get some Thai tea. So,
ooh.
Because you know me, that's like my drug.
Yes.
So thanks for joining me
yeah.
and taking time to talk with me.
Of course.
So I just want people to know who just want to showcase some people, people to get to know you, because you've been posting some real encouraging on every Thursday called Differently, and we'll get to that in just a moment. First, I think how I first met you was at Harvest, I believe. I think through Shay, right? And so
yes,
yeah, through Shay, and who I haven't talked to forever.
I know it's been a while. She's a mom now, though, so mom life, I'm sure.
Yeah, she is a mom. That's true. I'll give her that. Even before being a mom, because we'd always be together, and now she's married to Cody, and now she's antisocial. So,
but we still love each other.
The difference with you is that you're married and you're social still. So.
Yeah, somebody gave me some good advice. Obviously, in my opinion, it's God, your marriage, and your kids, friends, so on and so forth. But someone gave me some good advice. I think I may be misquoting, but I think it's someone you know. It may have been Crystal or Mike Amron, because we did our premarital counseling, and they were one of the couples that counseled us. But basically, just sharing, when you get married, you're super excited, you're newlyweds, it's awesome, all that good stuff. You're learning about your spouse, but don't forget you still have some friends too, and that time together is key as well. So just throwing that out there.
That's awesome. Good job. I'm going to take that into consideration.
Yeah, it's good to have some balance.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so like I said, can you hear me? Because I think the wind is blowing. So.
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because the wind is starting to blow, but as long as you can hear me still. I met you through Shay at Harvest like a few years ago, and why don't you tell our viewers, even though we have one right now, but later will be later on our YouTube channel later on.
No worries.
So it'll be archived later. It won't be on our story.
Hey, no sweat it, Daniel. As long as it's going to be having a convo, it's good to me.
Exactly. So, can you just tell our audience how you came to the Lord and where you got saved at, and your family and your background, and how you came to where you are right now? So.
Yeah, sure. So for me, I count it a real privilege, not that it was always easy, but a real privilege and honor that I came to know the Lord from a young age. So I feel like for me, a turning point was probably about 7 or 8 years old when I asked my parents if I could get baptized, and just kind of feeling the raw emotion of what that means and just knowing who God is in my life. But my parents, so when they met in their mid 30s, and they have their own interesting story.
Yeah,
Both of
yeah,
them, as I feel like we all do.
yeah,
But they met
absolutely.
in their mid-30s. My mom was married once before, my dad twice before. My dad more of a kind of backslidden Christian trying to figure things out, and my mom
Hmm.
more of a new Christian.
Hmm.
And they met in their mid-30s, and they were trying to just kind of figure that all out together, and then obviously get to know one another. And lo and behold, they gave it their best, but I showed up. And I
Yeah.
showed up, before they were before they were married. And I'm going to make a point with this, so bear with me. But
Okay, yeah, you're good. No, please.
I showed up before they were married, and that's not how they did. That's not how they wanted it to go. But obviously, kind of being in the walk that they were in, that's how it ended up. So I
Okay.
came out in September 1988, and they were married April 1989. And the reason why I bring that up is just seeing how much grace God has on his kids,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
seeing how much purpose he had for just me as their daughter in their life, and the purpose they have in mine. And I mean,
Absolutely.
obviously God is first and foremost in my faith, but I really give a big round of applause to my mom and dad, and how
Yeah.
they raised me, and how they shared with me those honest mistakes and things they wish they did differently,
Absolutely.
but that they made them, and they made me feel like, as I was getting to know the Lord and as they were getting to know the Lord, it's kind of like they grew in their faith, but they were adults, and I grew in my faith as a kid, and we were all just
Right.
growing, a bunch of growing,
Right.
right? Isn't
Right.
that the Christian walk?
Right.
So,
Right. Absolutely.
but yeah, as they were growing in their faith, I was growing, and they were teaching me, hey, no one's perfect. Only Jesus is. I'm not walking on water anytime soon. Only God is. Only God can do that. And they
Yes.
just let me know that mistakes are going to happen. At the end of the day, keep running after God, keep seeking God, keep going to Him with my struggles. And that just made me feel like I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to be that cookie cutter Christian. You know what I mean? Which gave me space to make mistakes, and then in turn see how God receives me and puts grace on me, but then also it made me want to do better for the Lord, because I wasn't trapped in this like square of perfection of having to always have
Right.
everything right because I'm a Christian
Right.
kind of thing. So,
Right.
my faith grew, and it grew again. I asked my parents, like, can I get baptized? And, about 8 years old, and we were going to Calvary Chapel, Marietta at the time because we lived out
Oh,
in
really?
Menifee area. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Pastor,
I didn't know
you
you
know
were.
Calvary?
I'm sorry.
Nice. I
Yeah,
said,
I didn't know you're
Calvary
under.
Road?
That's really cool. I thought
Awesome.
you were like an OC kid your whole life,
No,
though, because you look like
909 straight out the
you're a
gate.
909er. I'm a 909er too. You
909,
still
yeah.
have your. Wait, I don't think you have
Before,
your 900 number yet.
oh, 909 all the way. Before the
Yeah.
951. Are you
Yes.
951?
Don't bring 951.
Okay.
909 is always IE. So whoever has 951, you can't represent IE.
Yeah, yeah.
That's yeah.
But yeah,
909. Whoever has
909.
a 909, give me a thumbs up. So
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up in Menifee, actually. So Menifee's right by
yeah,
Temecula, Marietta
I know where
area.
Menifee is. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
cool, because hardly anybody does. Now more people do, but back in the day,
Yeah.
we're like, where's that? I just have to say it's by Temecula, and then people kind of
The only
get it.
reason I know about
Yeah.
Menifee is because of Revival Christian Fellowship over there.
Oh yeah, I think one of my friends goes there.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Gabe Velasquez, Tiffany's husband.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the worship pastor there, and he, when back in the day, he would invite me out, like a lot of Harvest musicians, to
Mm-hmm.
play over there, and so it was real. So that's how I know about Menifee, and when I think of Menifee, I think of Revival Christian Fellowship, and then of
Yeah,
course
that's awesome.
area right there with Calvary Bible College and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that. So that's really cool. I didn't know that part of you. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
IE.
Thanks. Yeah,
Now I
shout
like
out
you
to
even
Pastor
more.
Brian Bell.
Now I like you even more because you're an IE kid.
Yeah.
So I'm
I know,
kidding.
don't let it
No, I'm
fool
not
you.
kidding, but
Yeah, but so grew up going to Calvary Chapel, Marietta with my parents, and
okay,
we moved out here to Orange County in about 2000, I think. So I was
okay,
in sixth grade, and
okay,
to be honest, that was really hard. Like, people who
okay.
move from state to state, shout out to you guys, because just moving county to county, and
Mhm.
I mean, like Riverside, at least maybe more back in the day,
Right.
Riverside County and Orange County, there's
Yeah.
a lot of key cultural differences.
Absolutely.
And let's just say I rolled up to my elementary school going, what's Billabong? Like, why does this matter?
Yeah,
Like,
because
yeah,
I've
I've got
only moved
waves in
3 times ever.
me.
Our family's only moved 3 times in our life. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure
Yeah.
my dad, like before he got married, if he were married, my mom, like he moved so many times, when he was single and all that stuff. But just
Yeah.
just me, because living with my family the whole time, we've only moved 3 times.
Yeah.
So, and
It's
yeah,
a,
just one move is already like tough. Just packing everything in a U-Haul,
hmm
because we didn't hire any moving company or anything like that. We just
hmm
moved ourselves and had a
Yeah.
couple,
We're
family
more
members.
like that too, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I came out here and, my parents we kind of tried different churches. And again, I'm like sixth grade. So, trying to see where I can get plugged in the youth
Right.
ministry and all that good stuff.
Right.
So we tried Saddleback because that was very close to us. We
Yeah.
tried, I think Calvary Chapel or Rancho Santa Margarita because Rancho Santa Margarita was where we moved in 2000.
Okay.
And then we tried Calvary Chapel Pacific Hills back in the day, which was Pastor Danny Bond at the
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Some things kind of happened there, and we went ahead and my parents love Pastor Skip. Shout out to Pastor Skip, and he was
All
out here
right.
in California, and he
Yeah.
was the pastor of Ocean Hills. So
Yeah.
they're like, some things happened in the church at Pacific Hills at the time, and my
Right.
parents were like, we really love Pastor Skip. Let's get plugged in there. So went there, and then went back to Pacific Hills when Pastor Dave Rolfe became the
Yes.
head pastor, and Pastor Skip went back to Albuquerque, I believe.
Albuquerque. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I had spent most of my high school age at Ocean Hills, junior high at the previous Pacific Hills, and then kind of
Mhm.
early 20s past high school
That's
age
awesome.
at Pacific Hills with Dave Rolfe. And kind of will end with leading how I met you and Harvest, and
Yeah.
that's where I just felt like I was in my early 20s, mid
Uh-huh.
20s, and a lot of the demographic at Calvary Pacific Hills I felt like was a little bit more on the mature side, if you feel me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just kind of felt, I wanted to get plugged in somewhere else apart from my parents. As well, as
Mhm.
much as I love them, I wanted to spread my wings with my walk
Absolutely.
with the Lord. And
That's how I was too. Yeah. Absolutely.
right, like you just
Yeah.
like, okay, I need to, I see y'all at home, let's kind of spread
Yeah.
some wings elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Love
Yeah.
you, mom and dad, in case you see
Yeah.
this later. But um so I also got plugged in, or I ended up getting plugged in at Harvest actually through Virtue Women's Ministry
Yeah.
first, because a friend of my mom's, she was a leader there. So me and my mom, we did do that, and then I started going Thursdays by myself, and then Sundays by myself. And yeah, I mean, I know I've been very long-winded, so that's pretty much kind of
Yeah.
how I came to faith, and kind of where I've been getting my getting fed through all these years. So
That's just a blessing how your parents raised you up in the ways of the Lord, and so just
yeah,
and
it's a
them
gift.
learning from their mistakes, it just being transparent and honest with you, so that you won't make that same mistake. And it's just awesome to see what the Lord does in families and relationships
Yeah.
with generations to come. So that's just
hmm
awesome to see
Yeah.
it and hear. And so let's talk about Jake,
Yeah.
how you met him, because I still think you and him are the cutest couple I know. And so,
You're too kind.
how?
There are cooler
So
people than us.
yeah. So tell the story of how you and Jake met and where the first date happened, when all the
All that good stuff.
all
Okay.
the nits
All
and
the
grits.
juicy
Yeah,
bits. Are we
exactly.
turning into,
And
what
by
is
the way,
that
is Jake in
popular
there?
show now? Love is Blind or whatever's going on
Yeah,
out there.
yeah. And by the way, is
I
Jake
haven't
there?
tuned in. I heard it's good.
Is Jake there?
He's finishing up work. Yeah, he's in the
Oh,
other
okay.
room. Yeah.
Okay. If you see him, tell him to come over and say
I
hi.
know. Okay.
Yeah, because I want to see
He
him.
does
Right?
exist, people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But go
he's
ahead.
just
Like, I
finishing
want
up.
to hear it.
Yeah, so well, kind of piggybacking off how I mentioned just how I got planted into, Harvest here in Orange County through the women's study. It continued to just grow in the women's study, and lo and behold, it's actually how I met my husband, which I think that's so funny
Yeah.
because, singleness. I didn't get married until 28, so I think I had a decent time of
Right.
singleness, and there was definitely loneliness there, frustration there. I mean, dating life is interesting, right? It's interesting, especially as a believer. And I think maybe that's another story for another day. My
Yeah.
dating
Yeah. You got married at
experiences.
28, and I'm 26, so I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, singleness.
Jazz right there commented said there's hope. LOL.
There's hope. Yeah. There is actually. Well, let me park it there. Let me hopefully give a little bit more encouragement. So,
Yeah.
from I think the biggest takeaway from singleness now that I am married, and there's tons, but going to try to narrow it down. I know we only have a certain allotted time, and I talk a lot, so
Yeah.
I'm trying to make my
I love
point.
it.
But it's singleness. One, it's there's nothing wrong with us when we're single. I think because we look around and society's like, okay, love is a beautiful thing, right? It's an amazing thing, and but I think society can sometimes be so much about like finding your person, and it's all about being a couple, and you know, take cute pictures on Instagram, which is fun, but it's not life. It's not everything. Right. So singleness really is a special, special season where you are getting prepared for marriage. And it doesn't feel like that when you're single. It just kind of feels like, well, I'm missing out, and like, Lord, help me with these dates. Like, you know, and Lord, help them with me, because I'm sure I'm, you know, a piece of work to people. But,
right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like, I look back and hindsight truly is 2020. Like, things that I went through in my singleness prepared me to be the wife God's calling me to be in marriage. So awesome.
Come on.
Like, it's all about preparation, and even more than that, it's all about a special time between you and the Lord. That, you know, again, back to that, how I see it, it's God, your husband, and, you know, your kids, and so on and so forth. But when you are married, you have this beautiful gift of marriage, but your attention and your time is allotted to this person, right? And so there's unique opportunities that someone has when they're single that you don't always have all the time when you're married, because you're not as free to just up and leave whenever you want, right? Because obviously that's not respecting your spouse. It's like later whenever you want. So just, yeah, singleness, it's not something, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a really, really special, beautiful time.
That's awesome. And if I could just say, you know, I was talking with two sisters yesterday on Instagram Live, and one of them is your age, the other one's a little older, and they're both, you know, both good looking, and, you know, and all that, but they love the Lord, but yet they're still single, and they've declared it on their social media too, like, you know, don't waste your contentment on singleness, because it's a blessing too. And because I mean, I'm sure you know, and I've known, and Jake knows some people that, you know, want to rush things because, you know, they want to get married and all that, and yet, you know, people get married so young, or they rush into the marriage, and yet most of them end up, you know, not happy after during the marriage, or they end up getting divorced, and so because they didn't let God prepare them to be prepared to be that spouse for each other, and so
exactly.
And what you just shared right now is just awesome to see, and I've seen it too, where, you know, the time that I've known you, you know, before you met Jake, and now you're married and all that stuff, is just a good witness to see what the Lord has done, and I see you are happy and all the time. So I know it's just social media, but even outside of social media, because when I do see you guys, when I do get to hang out with you guys, it's just like, I love the happiness there, and so that's so that's witness right there, and so and so that's just awesome to see.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And but going back to Jake, so like
how we met, all that good stuff. So
who made the move?
Yeah. So actually, there's a third player in the scenario. Okay. Which I'll explain that. Hopefully
all right.
But so again, going to Virtue at Harvest, women's Bible study, not expecting to meet a guy at a women's study. That's weird, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I have played at Virtue when I was still at Harvest Worship, so it was weird for me because there's like a bunch of women there. I'm like, why am I playing here on
a lot of estrogen.
Like, so
but I was doing assisting leadership, so like an assistant leader. And so before study begins, we all meet an hour before, and we pray, and we kind of go over the lesson and get ready for our group time. And there was a leader in that group, and there was also, you know, a few, which honestly I'm super humbled. Like, I think at the time I was the youngest assistant leader, or just leader in general, in the group. And so any moms were kind of like, I have a son. And I was like, thank you for offering. Like, you know, like, okay.
Where was my mom at the time?
Like, moms out there, they mean business. So
Your
So
mom's choosing who you should marry and all.
yeah.
That is
Uh,
great.
so
You're
a few,
good.
yeah, no, for real.
Yeah.
A few moms had said that, and well, there was a mom in particular that said that, and you know, God's timing is in all of it. So you
Right.
know, there's my mother-in-law Molly. So she had mentioned just something about her son, and nothing pushy or weird by any means, just you know,
Oh, no, no,
comments
no.
and stuff.
Absolutely.
But it happened to be that right after that Wednesday when study was, you know, came Sunday, and I was at church, and you know, that thing that we do sometimes, or you turn and shake your, you know,
Yeah.
neighbor's hand and say
Yeah.
hello. Well, this guy was sitting in front of me, and my mom, I think, was on the left, and this guy
Uh-huh.
turns around, and, you know, we shake each other's hand, and like he turns back around, and my mom's like, he's so cute. And I was like, oh, like, shush, like, you know, but I was thinking in my head, like, wow, he's really cute
That is
too. Like, okay,
awesome.
mom, like, yes. And and then I happened to like glance down the row, and I
Right.
see this like blonde, and I'm like, wait, that's Molly. And then I'm like, wait, I think that's her son. So I don't know who really made the first real move, but the
Uh-huh.
following Wednesday, I thought, you know, hey, I got to put forth effort in my own way too. And I'm very like, I don't know if it's old school or whatever someone wants to call it, but I think that as a man, like men should kind of take some of that lead
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
just be the man, you know, and that, you know, it's my mom, at least this is how I was raised. To each
Right.
their own. Like
Right.
as a woman, we are very emotion driven, you know, not that men don't have emotions, but
Right.
we can be very emotional. And my mom just always said, you know, like God's word says, guard your heart. So don't
Absolutely.
necessarily show all your cards at once, or
Hmm.
go like straight for it and do everything first ahead of the
Hmm.
guy. Let them kind of take that lead
Yeah.
so that you're guarding your heart, and so that you're not just like driving the car, you know, like let the man be the man, and kind of do that. So I mean, I digress, but all that to say, I'm like, okay, I can still give some effort, right? And so that following Wednesday came along, and I basically went up to Molly and I said, you know, I think I met your son. He has a great smile, super cute. And that's kind of just where I left it. So
So it wasn't you or
oh, go
Jake
ahead.
that started the first move. It was
It
Molly,
was
your
technically
wife,
Molly.
that made the
Yeah,
move.
it was technically Molly. Shout out to Molly.
All right. I'm gonna have to find somebody's mom to.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you literally, you never
I'm
know. I mean,
kidding.
I have to tell you, I was at such a place of, I had so many different roller coaster things with just dating and singleness, and, you know, hard moments and joyful moments. And I was at such a place of peace with the Lord, and just saying, okay, God, I trust you. Like I would, you know, my heart, you know that I would like to be married, you know that I'd like a family, but what nevertheless your will be done kind of mentality. And you know, that's like a daily choice, because
Yeah.
some days are kind of like, screw what I said yesterday. Like
Yeah.
I want a
Yeah.
man, you know, like
Right.
so
Absolutely.
all that to say, you know, Molly goes ahead and she tells Jake, you know, hey, this girl that I, you know through virtue or whatever, like she thinks that you're cute. And I don't know how it happened, but I forgot one piece of the puzzle. um, Jake, I think, had messaged or had friended me on Instagram. So we had been friends, following
Okay.
each other, but not really saying anything.
Right.
So he hears that Molly, you know, had mentioned I thought he was cute, and he's like, you know, from what they tell me, he's like, no way, no, she doesn't, you know, all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
so he goes ahead, and so I think essentially, to answer your question, he did make the first move because he slid into the DMs.
Yeah.
Very, very Christian
as every,
like slide
as every
in,
guy would
but
do.
he did the Christian slide into the DMs. And he was like, you know, hey, I'm Jake. I think you know my mom, and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And I was
Yeah.
like, I do. And, you know, we chatted on there, and then exchanged numbers, and just would chat. And, you know, really, really cheesy thing we did in the
Yeah.
beginnings, where we were just kind of texting and talking in that way, is we watched one of the Nicholas Sparks movies, not The Notebook, but it's called The Longest Ride. Because I was watching it,
I
and
was
I was,
imagining if you two watched The Notebook.
what did you say? I missed that
Imagine.
part.
I'm just imagining if you two went to watch The Notebook on your first date or something like that.
Oh no, no, no. Actually, our first date is kind of funny. So, but so yeah, we know just little cheesy like stuff like
Right.
that what you do. But
Right.
I'm super cheesy, so I'm like, I'm drinking this up. I love cheese, like it's awesome. And so,
Try not to.
you're
I
not
almost
supposed
choked on
to.
my.
So yeah, we get to know each other like that, and then we first meet actually at a Thursday service at Harvest at the old campus when it was
Yes.
off Jamboree,
Yes.
and it was funny. He I saw his sister Brittany sitting in the front row, and he was supposed to kind of meet, but I was also there with my friends, so there wasn't like a lot of pressure. We were just gonna meet for the first time in person, and he comes like walking in, and he sits in front of me, and I'm like nervous, and I'm trying to like focus on the message, and
Yeah.
then the service ends, and I'm talking with my friends. He's obviously there with his family, and he goes out and he comes back in with his nephew Kiefer, I think, and
Uh-huh.
Kiefer and maybe Allie, and I was kind of like, this guy, is he trying to like get me with the kids? I'm
Yeah.
like, because I'm not that soft. you know, although they're extremely cute. They're adorable kids.
Yeah.
Uh, so, he's talking with me with the kids, and,
Right.
then, people start to leave, and we had that time just to chat. And what I really loved is that one, he thought I was funny, so that's
Mhm.
awesome, right?
Yeah.
Because maybe nobody else does, but if my husband
Right.
does, that's a win. So
Right.
he thought I was funny, and I just felt like we were ourselves, and we were
Right.
just chatting. And I'm a quite a forward person,
Mhm.
so I always I love I love the idea of just a guy who's very soft and thoughtful and does know his emotional side, but at the same time I knew, because I'm quite a forward person, I did need someone who would kind of put me in my place or could receive that,
Yeah.
and be a balance for me.
Right.
And I just felt like that was totally him. Like he kind
Mhm.
of he just got me, kind of thing,
Mhm.
as kooky as I could be. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
know like the Enneagram stuff, but supposedly I'm an 8, so I don't know what that tells you, but
Dang, Vic.
so yeah, he's my chill to my uptight. He's my
Right.
calm to my like
Yeah.
and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's essentially how we met. So shout out to Harvest. I think actually Pastor Greg and Kathy know that we met at Harvest too, and there's so
Okay.
many so
Yeah.
many of us. And I'm so it's a blessing to just meet in church. It's not a perfect thing, I'll have to tell you
Right.
that. It's not a
Uh,
perfect thing just because you meet your spouse in church. It doesn't mean
right.
we're some perfect person in church. We all have our
Uh-huh.
things, but it's
I
yeah, it's
know.
been a
It
blessing.
happened to me one time when I dated some girl from church, and she happened to be a wolf in shepherd's clothing. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
and that's I'm sorry that happened, because
Hmm.
I feel you. I mean, I've literally told so many friends before about like just kind of that little snippet about dating really quick.
Right.
Just when I would be on a date with a guy and just be like, okay, so what kind of Christian are you? And I say that really like with no offense, but it just seemed like, okay, there are like 10 different types of Christians. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I
No,
mean?
for
And
real.
it really just means we're all on a different walk, right?
Uh, Sorry, that plane is
So,
really loud.
no, no, you're good. I can't
Yeah.
believe there's actually anybody still flying. So
Oh,
keep
yeah.
keep going, I guess.
No, but no, that's cool though, because uh, it kind of reminded me what Stephen. I actually talked about this yesterday on my broadcast, and kind of reminded me what Stephen Furtick says. Instead of
hmm
finding the right one, be the right one. And so
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
what you did was a great example. You're just waiting patiently on the Lord. You're not seeking
Thank
anybody
you.
to, and all of a sudden, like, you, it just happened. At the moment, at the time where God just appointed that moment to happen, and you and
hmm
Jake met, and all of a sudden, with flying color, or to make the long story short, you two are together now, which is
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Got
That's
married July 8th, 2017. So
really,
3 years this July.
wow, that's
Time
awesome.
flies. I mean, it's
how's it
not that
been?
long, but
How's it been since day one?
yeah. Wait, say that again.
How's it been since day one?
Since
Marriage.
day one, you know what, to not give too much away, just because I just
No,
don't know if it's the right time,
no,
but
no.
Jake and I in our engaged season, it's honestly, it's incredible when you take inventory of how God works in your life, and you recall how detailed he is. Jake and I chose a bit more of well,
Mhm.
I guess we dated for 9 months and got engaged, but we had about a year and a half, a year and some change of an engagement, so a little bit longer than I think the norm.
Right,
And the
right.
Lord, the Lord knew that we needed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we hit a really hard time in our engagement. And just a lot of things kind of came to a head. And so I say that because we hit that hard time in our engagement, I truly feel that in our marriage, we have been more so thriving than struggling
Mm.
because I mean, I can talk. Premarital counseling
Premarital
really helps
counseling,
with
yeah.
that. Yeah, but I also feel like that if you really just listen to what, the Lord also says about marriage and just kind of what you can expect in marriage, and if you're also honest with one another and really
Yeah.
raw and vulnerable, like at the end of the day, nobody's perfect, but we
Right.
all deserve to know who each other really is so we can know if we want to choose that person,
That's
And so I feel like we got to work through a lot of that, and in doing so, marriage is definitely, it's hard, but I feel very humbled and blessed that it's
mhm.
been more, just more of a gift and more of a blessing than this like heavy struggle, and I think that saying is true. I would personally rather be single and happy than married and miserable, you know what
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
like, and that's
Absolutely.
where that singleness
Right.
preparation is so key before you get married. So
And it kind of
but
reminded
yeah,
me too what Jared Wilson said in his own dating sermon, that we
yeah.
shouldn't be more we shouldn't pursue, our goal is not to pursue marriage. Our goal is to be more
Hmm.
like Christ. And
Yeah,
so uh,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
learning from other friends too is that marriage is not going to make you 100% happier as much as knowing
No,
God will. And so,
exactly. Yeah.
because you can, I mean, it's great that you're married and all that stuff, and you get to, but then when you get to
Hmm.
know the real person's color, your other significant other's color,
Yeah,
you just realize, hey, nobody's perfect. You can't find the right one. That's
exactly.
why you have to be the right one. And so,
Yeah. And I
and
think too, well, just to piggyback real quick off what you said,
right.
Levi Lesko said this about, I think, his when he was dating his wife Jenny,
Mm-hmm.
how Jenny, that he gave this analogy, and I can't recall if it truly just happened or it's an analogy or both, but
Right.
she she's, picture us, like we're at harvest, right, and
Mm-hmm.
we're in worship and we're just worshiping the Lord, and that's our
Mm-hmm.
stance, and that's where we are at. And what's really a beautiful relationship is when someone comes alongside you and they lift their hands too. So they're
Mm-hmm.
just picking up right where you're at. It's not like you have to like drag them up per
Right.
se, or you're pulling them down. Like, you're there worshiping the Lord, and that right person comes alongside and they get in that stance and they worship the Lord too. And then you
I'm gonna
guys
make sure
worship
my
the Lord
future wife
together.
talks to you first
Yeah.
before we get married. I'm serious. Like, I'm not just saying that because you've been married for only 3 years, and yet you know a lot
Hey,
already. And
that
so
goes back to Mama and Papa Dorn. Dorn's my
yeah,
maiden name, man. They
I'm
laid
gonna I'm
down
gonna
that
make
wisdom.
I'm gonna make sure my future wife talks to you. I'm gonna make sure that
Thank
happens.
you. That's so nice.
Yeah,
And
and
way more to learn, I tell you.
and
But it's
after this
also learning
broadcast,
from
I do
others,
have
right?
after the broadcast, I'll tell you something which I won't reveal on the air because
Yeah,
she might be watching, but I don't know. We'll see.
yeah,
Uh,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
for
say what
sure.
her name is, or whatever, but
I
that's
totally went on that side note too.
yeah,
I forgot what we were saying originally, but I went on the side Levi. Shout out to Pastor
yeah,
Levi. He's like one of my favorites.
yeah, absolutely, of course.
But yeah,
Levi and Jenny and Fresh Life Church. I want to do an interview with you guys. Let me
yeah.
know. Uh, so I do want to talk about.
Mhm.
I do have like about 15, 20 minutes with you guys. With you,
Yeah,
so Instagram only gives me an hour. I do want to talk about your IGTV called Differently. I've
yeah.
seen some
Thank you.
videos. It's actually really nice and really encouraging. Oh, we have a viewer from Turkey. That's also Ursa Nursal. Very good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, and so yeah, and I do want to talk about that. And I've seen some videos, and it was actually really encouraging and straight from the heart. Uh, what brought you to wanting to do a video blog like that, and how
Mhm.
did the Lord put in your heart to share things that the Lord put in your heart from to everybody on your social media? If you could tell
Yeah.
us that.
Yeah. Thank you so much for asking. I think I I really only use Instagram. I'm not too much on Facebook or any of the other things. Haven't
Right.
gotten into TikTok like everybody else, which looks super fun. I'm
I
not
haven't
saying
got
it's not.
TikTok yet
But
myself either. So
the point is there's so much out there, right, that you can
right,
be on and a part of. And
right.
I think just being on Instagram, and I'll say this too, a lesson to myself that I learned, it's all who I follow, right? I'm only going to see who I'm actually putting in front of my own face.
Right, right.
So that's key too that I learned. But I think I was just getting a little bit burned out on seeing so many things about, fashion, outfits, outer appearance, different things, and trust me, I'm not against any of that. I love look at that fly. Like I love a good
It's like
outfit. Like
when
yeah.
Jay's right
Oh,
here.
see,
Like,
see, yeah,
hey, don't
right.
make, you're hurting my feelings. No, I'm kidding.
No, no, I know. No, I have a good time with that. I almost actually wanted to go to FITM, like the fashion. So I really, it's like art, right? Like I really do have a passion for fashion, and I love putting
Yeah,
outfits together. I just think it's fun, when you
right.
feel good, you on the outside, you also feel good on the inside, and so on and so forth. But I just feel like I was seeing so many things that was a bit more surface level in the grand scheme of things, right? That's all I'm saying. They're not wrong, but it's a little bit more surface level. And I thought, I would love just to kind of have a place where I could connect with others on real things that we face in life and on struggles that I personally have, and that it would just be an organic, not super fancy curated place. Like, I have to tell you, like my phone when I film those is on a candle and I'm standing in my living room because I don't have a real setup. I don't know if I ever will,
Are
honestly.
you on a
Like I've
candle
gotten
right
so
now?
used to this janky way of doing things, but
Are you
like
on a candle right now?
no, actually, you are resting against my laptop. You're in a safe
Oh,
place.
okay.
But
I
like I
did
put
that
my phone
yesterday
on the
too, because
like it's this whole just like
yeah,
hodgepodge way of going about it. It's not this
right.
perfect camera setup. But I just kind of
No
thought,
one
you know
knows.
what? Like Lord, you put things in my heart, and I think what really got me going was I wonder if anybody else is thinking this, and I wonder if anybody else would be encouraged by it. And so every week I just set out to go, Lord, what would you have me say? Like, and I pray before I get on and do my episode, because the last thing I want it to become is something that is about me, because that's the same thing that kind of made me a bit more turned off from
Absolutely.
other things that I
Yeah.
would see. And, and I have to confess.
Ursa, I do see your question. I will answer that right after she's done. So yeah, I will
Yeah.
answer that. Yeah. So go ahead, Kristen.
No, 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 no worries. And so, sorry, I just actually lost my train of thought.
Sorry. No, about differently, that you didn't want it to be more about you. You
Oh,
wanted.
yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Of course.
But yeah, I literally just sit at God's feet and go like, what do you want me to say? Because my whole goal with it and mission is if I can encourage one person, that's good enough for me. And so, oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to confess. I think I could have, I haven't fully struggled with this, but I could have, and that's being prepared, right? A
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a struggle with maybe like making it about me,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it turning a little bit about like the
Right.
praise I would get or the
Right.
affirmation I would get. And it's like, it's amazing. It's amazing when somebody says, wow, you really encouraged me. But that's not me doing it. That's God letting me be just using me. But it's God saying it.
Yeah.
It's the things that I feel like He put on my heart. So long answer short, I wanted to start it to just be a genuine place to just share things that I've experienced. Topics like singleness, topics like marriage, topics like, I don't know, just addictions, or just raw, real things that I feel like sometimes the church, which I get, doesn't dive into fully with the congregation as a whole. It's kind of more for small groups. So it's
Right.
like having a small group on a Thursday, just a little, like conversation on a Thursday. But that's my mission, is I just want to bring God's encouragement to even one
That's awesome.
person. So if one person views, then that's what I'm trying to go for, because that's what Jesus does, right? He goes after the one. It's not about the 99. So it's not about how many likes I got or if anybody
Right.
actually gave a crap. It's more
Absolutely.
like if just one person felt encouraged. And so that's what I feel like is my mission. And I just trust God to give me the topics at hand that He sees fit.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. And for those of you that don't follow Kristen, I think you should follow her, because
Thanks.
she posts and a new episode of Differently. So go ahead and give her a follow if you haven't. And to answer Ursa's question, how's the situation in the USA about coronavirus? Well, there have been 10,000 deaths reported here in the nation. However, the president has issued a stay-at-home order and all that, but we do. However, there are essential businesses that are still open, like Target and Walmart. And as you can see, Ursa, since you're from Turkey, this is the situation right now in the parking lot. Nobody's here. It's usually packed here at the UC Irvine campus, but there is nobody here. Well, there's like only a few people here, and so, but like what I will say, Ursa, I don't know, I've never met you, but what I think what as you asked that question is that I mean I know you're living in Turkey. I'm not sure what the situation is over there, but I think what the Lord put in my heart to tell you is that not to be afraid, because you know I don't know if you're a Christian or anything like that, but I'm going to let you know that Jesus Christ does love you and He cares, and no matter what the situation is, that the place that we're living in right now is just a temporary place because it doesn't compare to what we have to spend eternity in heaven. So um, let me know, give me a message if you have any questions about it. If you're, you know, I don't even know who, you know, if you're a believer or not. So I'm just, you know, assuming, you know, that, you know, I'm not gonna make any assumptions that, you know, you are or not, but I just want to encourage that to you. And if you have any questions about faith, you know, about who we worship and all that stuff, you know, shoot me a message. We will talk. And so, I will definitely, you know, talk to you about that. And so, Kristin, the last few minutes I have with you. Oh, actually, Christy Takura, she said, haha, you're outside my work. I work in that office behind you. Most people in the office are working remotely, thank God. So, yeah.
That's one of my best friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Christy.
All
And it's
right.
true, you are there.
So now one question I also want to ask you, because for your line of work, you travel a lot. How has that how big of a challenge is it, you know, especially when you're married,
Yeah.
you know, to travel, uh, just tremendous. Like, cause I see your social media all the time. You're always at nice places. I'm like, oh, I wish I had your line of work and stuff. But what are the challenges as far as like being away from Jake and all that, and just
Yeah.
like, is your faith tested as far as like, you know, not just, you know, in your marriage, but just like in your walk, just your general walk? How has it been? Like, you know, what's the journey is like traveling outside of home?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Actually, Christy, I think she's still watching. Whew, could she tell you a few things that I have said about traveling?
Yeah.
Because and Christy's known me since actually about sixth grade, seventh grade. So
Okay. Wait, wait, hold on, you're
oh,
frozen.
are you still there?
There you go. Wait,
Oh,
wait.
are you there now? Okay.
There you go.
Okay, cool. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Anyways, to sum up, Christy actually jokes with the nickname Nomad that I had back when I was single because I love travel. I love meeting new people. I love seeing new places, experiencing different things, and I just love seeing what God created. Like it really is one of my favorite things. But when you know, as I got married and just my heart, I feel like desires just started to shift and I just really wanted to focus more on being within the home. Again, call me old school, but I really have always desired to be a mom that does stay at home with my kids if
Yeah.
possible. If I do have to do both or whatever it may do, God's got that. But that's just been my desire is to you know, God and then my family and that is my job. So what while I do like to travel and it has been a blessing, when I got married, it became more of a struggle. And reason being is because I felt that my mind, because I am quite a planner and kind of think too far in the future sometimes, my mind was already in the state of like, you know, oh, I'm a mom. I want to be a mom. Like I want to, you know, I'm a wife. Like this is, you know, just focusing so much on that and not focusing on my present. And so when I would have to travel and go on these different trips, it would kind of give me some anxiety, to be honest. Like, I mean, I really like, to be very honest, like Jake would drop me off at the airport and I would be in tears. And I'm not one to cry over, to me, looking at myself something silly like this. Like, just go on your work trip, come back and suck it up. Like,
yeah.
I would just be like, feeling so torn because my mind kept on thinking about what I want in the future and what my heart desire is. And it wasn't focusing at all on what the current circumstance was, you know, which is God has me in this job. He wants me to travel and he has a reason for it. So when he sees fit for me to be a mom, he'll do that. But they're not happening at the same time like I thought it was. You know, I'm not holding a baby right now and getting on a plane. Like that's, but my mind, I don't know. I just struggle with that. I think too far in the future and then I transpose that onto my present and then I get stressed out. It's just something that's been a struggle for me since I was younger. But I have to say, it's a great time traveling. I do like to see my team, but I just desire to be with my family more. And God did something for me because He knows I was having a hard time. And so He came alongside me and He was like, okay, I'm going to basically, He taught me everything I just said. But He's also showed me that there are there's purpose in your travel, and that purpose has really energized me. And some of the experiences I've had apart from my job and what my responsibilities are there are sitting next to someone on the plane and their book has something about God. And I mean, you know me, Daniel, and you're the same. I turn and I go, hey, how's it going? My name's Kristin. Like, oh, so you believe in God? Like, and then we're talking, and
Yeah.
that person, like, we're just going, and like now I know this whole person's life, and they're from Iowa, and now they know me, and I mean, it happened to where I met a gentleman on the plane, probably somebody like my dad's age, like 60s, you know, and he was on a work trip and, you know, we got to talking about the Lord. I think he was actually the one with the book because this has been more than once. And he shared with me, you know, just where he goes to church. So I said where I go, and he's like, wait, Pastor Greg Laurie? Like, what? Like, I want, you know, I want to
Yeah.
go. And
Yeah.
so he came and he brought his
Wow.
wife. He was on a work trip because we were flying back from, you know, where I was at,
Yeah.
and he came and he sat with my family, and his wife did, and his wife and their grandson. And so I would just, God knows what his kids need to be energized when they're having a hard time. And as much as he'll allow us to walk through what is a personal struggle, he'll also equip us to walk through it, and he'll energize us in it because, you know, he's bringing us back to focusing on what his purpose is for us, you know, in
Yeah.
the present moment, and getting us outside of ourselves and what, you know, we want all the time. So
Right.
long answer. I do enjoy the travel. I would much rather be at home. And hey, this is a horrible thing going on, but guess who
Yeah.
doesn't have to travel like the rest of the year,
Right.
I think, right? Like trying to
At least you
find some
spend more
Romans
time with Jake
8:28 good
now,
out of
right?
the bad,
So,
right? Like, so yeah.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, I want to play a little game with you in the next these last few minutes that we have, and so this is preference.
Okay.
So tell me, Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Nike.
Yeah.
In and out or Five Guys?
In and out all the way.
Oh, I'm frozen. Wait,
Oh, I can see
hold on.
you.
I lost you. Okay, sorry, we just lost the signal there. I'm waiting for Kristin to come back here. Let's see. Let me go outside real quick. All right. Okay. Go ahead, Kristin, and rejoin me right there, if you can. Let me see. Let me send you. Okay. That's what happens when you're live, guys. Network. I'm on a cellular network. So let's see. Kristin is waiting for you right now. Should be on soon. Jazz, how you doing? Are you getting anything, Kristin? I'm trying to accept it right now. Um, it's so weird. Um, yeah, I can see you're here, but I'm trying to accept it. It's not letting me. Here, 1 second. Let me do it one more time here. Here. Me. There you
I think it
go.
worked.
I have Verizon. I don't know why I did that. So, but you're frozen again. Hold on. There
Can you
you
hear
go.
me?
Yeah, I can hear
There
you
we
now.
go.
Okay,
At
that
least
was
we
my
ended on in and out, right?
yeah. In and out of Five Guys. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah. In and out.
In and out.
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory or BJ's?
Ooh, BJ's.
Really?
Well, okay, so speaking of travel, I have been to Chicago and I've had their deep dish pizza, two different places that are the hot spots.
Uh,
I didn't like it that much. Like, I
really?
actually like BJ's deep dish better, which I know isn't even true deep dish, but you know what? It's my deep dish, so
Oh,
BJ's.
Ray just joined us. What's up, Ray?
Hey, Ray.
Yeah. A iPhone is better, just so you know, Ray. Um, so Asian food or Italian food?
Oh, do I have to pick? Man,
I'm an Asian connoisseur, so
Asian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I know. Now we're best friends because I knew we had that same taste. I still need to take you and Jake to that Thai restaurant. I told you
Oh,
that.
that's why I picked it, because of
Yeah,
Thai.
yeah, and
More
actually,
variety. Yeah.
yeah, and actually, for those of you that are joining in, because only for the unsaved, um, Jake and Kristen are responsible for getting me addicted to poking. So,
Yes.
and it is healthy. It's a
That is
healthier
the
choice
best.
to make, but it's so good. And
Oh
so,
yeah. Yeah. And it's
but
right
Ray
by
likes,
church, so that's a big
yeah,
win.
yeah, Ray likes Italian food. Um,
A good
uh,
gnocchi has my
yeah.
heart, though.
Um, before you met Jake, did you ever consider going on The Bachelor?
Okay, that's really funny that you asked that.
Yeah,
So, again, I'll make this short, but because I'm long-winded.
right.
But throughout my singleness, a lot of times I was the only one that didn't have a boyfriend, right, in my girl group. And
Uh-huh.
so they would kind of put that out there, like, you should try for the Bachelor. You should try for the Bachelor. You'll be the Christian girl, the girl who's a virgin on the Bachelor. And we've seen how that goes. Not that I'm not up for a challenge, but ooh, okay, that's a challenge. And so
You know,
actually, right when Jake and I started talking, so we were only talking, so this is fair game. The Bachelor was casting, and they were in town at the hotel across from South Coast Plaza. And my friends had been saying it, months before he and I even started talking.
uh-huh.
And so I sent in my application and a photo, and it was really fast. Like, it was simple. Sent that in,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, "Okay, be here at this time." And it was honestly a really fun. Obviously, I didn't get it, which
Right,
that's fine.
right. Like
But
one of the 50,000
yeah, I was
girls
like, I think I
for this guy.
won. Like, God had the man he had for me, or go on the Bachelor. But
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah, so it was a really fun experience because I do like to try things that make me feel uncomfortable, so that
Becca
I'm more
Tilly was fun.
comfortable in the
And Chrissy, when you
uncomfortable.
say Becca, oh, sorry, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh
Becca
yeah,
Stiller,
Becca stole
is
your
that Becca
spot.
Tilly?
Yeah, people
Really?
thought
She
that we
stole your
kind of
spot?
look alike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. But yeah, so it was fun. I got to meet some really cool girls, just see how it all works behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a fun experience. Like,
Mhm.
definitely, if you want to try something different, go for it.
That is so funny.
That's funny you asked. I don't think many people actually know that I
I
tried
didn't know that
out.
either. I just said that as a joke. And yeah, I didn't know you had a story. I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Because actually, one of the guys from Harvest, he's one of the young adult leaders. He
Hmm.
wants for the next season. He wants to do a bachelor fantasy league, and so
Really? A dude?
yeah, yeah.
Dang.
So like it's mostly like a guy thing, but there's some girls I think they're gonna be part of it too. Where
Yeah, yeah,
we're
that's
gonna watch
fun.
like the next every episode of The Bachelor. Well, we all
Yeah.
get together the first episode. We pause after all the girls are introduced. We pick
Hmm.
who is in our team, all that stuff. Like, and we each put in like 20, $25. Whoever, whichever girl makes it to the makes or gets becomes the batch is the bachelorette for that person.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
win the whole pot or something like that. So
That's so fun.
yeah,
That's really fun.
so I'm just like because I don't even watch The Bachelor. The only
Yeah,
reason why I got to The Bachelor because when I get home from work, my sister happens to tune in and
yeah,
and then I see some Instagram stories. Everybody's talking about The Bachelor. I'm like, you're wasting
yeah.
2 hours of your life watching
Now
that.
you're on the side, Daniel, secretly
No,
watching.
I don't.
You know all about
I
Pilot
really
Pete
don't.
or whatever
I
his name is.
I I don't.
I'm kidding.
I only watch reruns of Home Improvement and The Office. So
That's really funny.
yeah. So
Blame it on your sister.
yeah, I do blame it on my sister. And yeah, so but couple questions I want to ask.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite worship song?
Oh, wow. Um, so is it okay if I say two, but I'll make it really fast?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Oceans was, by Hillsong, and I mean, still is great, it is, but Oceans actually, I walked down the aisle to Oceans in instrumental,
Okay. Yeah.
so definitely has a special place. But present day, another Hillsong, No One But You.
Yeah.
That one, like, man, every time it is on, my eyes are filled with water, and I'm feeling feeling just closer to the Lord. And it's so funny too, because Jake the other day was like this song, and I was like, this song, like we're like, okay, we both like
Yeah.
this is the song, like
Yeah.
so super
I think
encouraging.
one song, I don't know if you heard of it, maybe, you should listen to it, is the Blessing by Carrie Job and
Oh
Elevation.
yeah.
Yeah. That song
Yeah,
has been like my
crushing it.
repeat. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and
beautiful
then
song.
um also another question I want to ask is, what has been your lifelong verse that you hold dear to your heart?
Oh yeah. So that's Jeremiah 29:11, and basically, knowing for what it means to me, knowing that God has a good plan for me, his his kid, right? And he knows that plan so intricately,
Mm-hmm.
and that my plan or the plan he has for me is for hope and for a
Mm-hmm.
future.
Mm-hmm.
And that brings me such peace for two reasons. One, because I'm a planner and I think I can get in my own way, and it could become more about resting on my own plans.
Yeah.
So it kind of recenters me to realizing, no, 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 God has a plan for you. And it doesn't mean we can't make some plans, but they
Right.
can't come before the Lord.
Right.
And then it also brings me comfort because just knowing that the God of the universe has a plan for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he has this intricate plan that's going to bring such hope, and that my future is known, by him. So definitely Jeremiah 29 for
That's so
sure.
awesome. That's so awesome.
What's
Uh,
yours?
on my bracelet,
Oh,
Philippians 4:7. I know it's backwards, but
oh yeah, like I can't
yeah.
read it.
Yeah. Well, actually, because that has been like, I actually have my favorite verses are actually, uh, I'm wearing it right now. It's my
Hmm.
bracelet. My dog tag is Isaiah 40:31. One of my purity rings is actually 1 Timothy 6:16,
Mm,
and then the other one is 1 Timothy 6:11. So
wow,
yeah, so I'm blinged up with
that's
like
so cool. Where do you go? Where do you shop?
and
You're like,
funny where I got them at the Rock Church San Diego. So
oh really? That's so
yeah,
cool.
they actually like their bookstore has like a lot of like like engraved jewelry. So
Yeah,
and they
that's
had
really cool. I
and they had a
love
lot
that.
of Bible verses. I was trying to look for some of my favorite verses and something that can I can hold conviction, be convicted for.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
especially when you mentioned about singleness and all that stuff. I mean, I pledged. I think I pledged to the Lord at Levi Lusko's O2 experience that I would
Me too.
really,
Yeah,
yeah,
in
that I would stay
2006.
sexually pure
Yeah,
until marriage. And
yeah.
so, and I've kept that, but there have been times lately where, temptations will happen.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think accountability was so important in my life. So I wear these rings just so that people can hold me accountable,
Hmm.
so that I can be a blessing for my wife, for my kids and all that.
Yeah,
And, in my
yeah.
relationship. Um, so yeah,
That's beautiful.
that's
I'm so proud of you. And hey, someone who's walked the same walk, like it's definitely not easy. I
it's
think it's for me it was more about the loneliness when you just hear everybody else doing it,
right,
and being
right.
kind of like just alone and like does
Mm-hmm.
does anybody stand for this? Does anybody believe in this? And
Mm-hmm.
and just feeling, I don't know. It's man,
Yeah.
I will tell you, like now kind of obviously on the other side because I am a married
Mm-hmm.
woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I think in marriage, and these are some, actually I'm so glad you're talking about this because these are some of the topics, like
Mm-hmm.
purity, and then when you get married after staying pure, like I won't dive all into that
Right.
right here and now. Obviously
Right.
it's definitely personal and I'll have to think
Right.
more on what I want to say,
Right.
but
Right.
um it just, I think that especially when you're single and when you are saving yourself, there, you can only go off what you're hearing, what you maybe see on a TV show here and there, and then what you maybe you're like, oh, I wish I didn't see that, and there's just so
Yeah.
much going on, right? On
Right.
television, movies, all these things, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like, and then when you get married and you're kind of like having to just be like, Lord, like, what did you make sex to be? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's something that I'll just stop there because it's something that I definitely want to sit on and be like, Lord, what can
Absolutely.
I share?
Mm-hmm.
Because it can be a real journey, and sex it's not something that, Gossip Girl puts on TV. Gossip Girl did not create sex. 90210 did not create sex.
Right.
God created sex.
God did.
You know what I mean? And I just
Right.
feel like there's so many voices speaking to sex that are wrong, in my opinion, or just not accurately aligned. And there's not as many voices speaking about what sex really is, right? Like, it's a gift within marriage. It's something that is, I don't know, I could go maybe on it, but you know what I mean?
You're
So,
right on point,
but I'm
sister.
very proud of you. I know it's not easy.
Yeah. And
It'll be worth
yeah,
it
because like
though.
learning from from the past and all that, and um, just kind of like where like I said, a girl may not is not going to satisfy you as much as the Lord will, and it's like what Levi Lusko would say, girls may be hot, but so is hell. So
It's so funny.
so, yeah, so I hold on to that. I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
especially us guys, we tend, with like, with sinful eyes and all that,
Yeah.
it's just temptation does happen. And so
Yeah.
especially me as a church leader in the church, you want to set the, the right example, and like, you want to show who Christ is and what Christ is about. And so,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people are not going to see Christ based off, majority of people are not going to see Christ based off the Word of God. They're going to see it through a person.
Yes.
And for me, if people are going to see the Word of God through me, I have to be the great example of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's
And I
been
think it's incredible too. I mean, hey, if anybody is watching and they've already, gone down that path, like how God is has never left. Just because my mom's actually taught me this, just because maybe I make a wrong choice or I'm not, I make a mistake, it doesn't mean that God just goes, okay, we'll see you later. Good luck. Like, he's there when we're aligned with him and we're seeking him, and he's there when we're not. So, how God can redeem that is just beyond. But what I will say is I'm so grateful that I stayed the course. Not a perfect course, I will mind you, but
right.
I stayed the course because for me, I think, and sometimes my logic gets in my own way, but my logic is I was almost, how do I say this? I was a bit too afraid to actually make that mistake because I didn't want it to cloud my judgment and then make me feel like I had to be with that person, because I just feel like that's how my mind would work.
Yeah.
And I just thought, is it worth it? Like, this is what God the Father is asking of me for my own good, right? Back to the plan that he has for me that's good. Like, he's saying this is for my own good. Like, just hold out. Like, you can do it. And at the end of the day, and the last thing I promise I'll say on it is it wasn't me doing it. It's not you doing it. Now we're making the choice. Yes, that's true. It's God. He's helping us do it. Like, I couldn't do it by myself. Oh, heck no.
And one final thing before
Yeah.
we go, um, we're in coronavirus season right now. We're
Yeah.
all quarantined. Well, I'm outside right now, but I'm
Yeah.
not quarantined.
Yeah.
But the president has issued a quarantine notice for the whole nation.
Mm-hmm.
People are afraid. People are losing their jobs, and they're afraid of getting the virus contracted to them, but also
Mm-hmm.
with finances and issues and all that. Um, I'm sensing the Lord put in your heart an encouraging word for our viewers to hear.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to the people that may be worried, may be stressing about this, that may, during this whole season, that what's something that the Lord put in your heart that you want to encourage the people during this whole season?
Yeah. I mean, lots of different things have popped in my head and, different struggles that I've had with, everything that's going on. But I think one of the biggest things that I've actually heard that I find comfort in is the fact that this whole thing is not a surprise to the Lord. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean the Lord made it happen. He's allowed certain things, but it's not a surprise to the Father in heaven who loves me, who loves you, who loves everybody who's tuning in, you know? And I take comfort in knowing that even though I don't understand everything that's going on, even though I don't know what's going to happen to me and my family, you know, in the next hour or the next
Mhm.
day or people I care about, God
Mhm.
does. And at the
Yes.
end of the day, I find comfort in that. And then even further than that, I've really been trying to take every thought captive and
Mhm.
really put things up to the lens of Romans 8:28. And
Yeah.
I say that with real empathy, that just because Romans 8:28, right, kind of looking at the good out of the bad situation, like what good is going to come out of a bad situation. I
Mhm.
say that with empathy and knowing that, you know, I'm more gung ho. My mind goes like let's get positive, like, you know, let's look at the good at the bad, but it doesn't mean that we can't process some of that bad or feel sad or feel scared in our moments that we need to process. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, knowing that, for example, that Harvest got 1 million views last
Yep.
week
That's
on
amazing.
like, to me that's just an affirmation of, yes, Lord, you see us, you see what's going on, and you're going to use a horrible thing for your good. And
Mhm.
I, you know, as much as that brings some sadness and some loss, like that's personally what I have to cling to, that there is something huge at work and the
Mhm.
Lord's in control of it. He's in
Yes.
control. He's not surprised. He's got us no matter what happens.
Mhm.
He's in the midst, and he's doing huge things for
That's
our good in the
that's
long run.
good. That's so awesome, sister. That's a great word to share. Um, Thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks for
And
asking. I feel
of
honored.
course,
I'm like,
absolutely.
hey, you're gonna ask me? Really? I might be pretty boring, but
Yeah.
hopefully I made you laugh.
I consider you boring. I know you and Jake so well. I'm just like, you guys are not boring. You took me out to pokey, or my first pokey experience. You like that's
Yeah.
not boring at all. That's actually
Okay.
really
Good.
cool. So, for those of you that don't follow her, give her a follow at Kristin. It's Kristin Hill. She's got a great social media. She's got great photos too, you know, and she does have some fashion, I would say. It
Thank
looks
you.
like Zara, but I don't know. And so, and yeah, just give her a follow every Thursday. Every Thursday, right? You post differently,
Yeah, every
and so
Thursday.
it's
Got
a nice
one
video
tomorrow.
blog that she posts, like, and you'll be encouraged by that. Just be praying for her, and thank you so much again. It's really awesome. Say hi to Jake for me.
I will, yeah.
Give him a kiss for me because I can't. And so,
Do you
and
mind
so
actually? Can I pray for you real quick?
please do
Okay.
so. Please.
Lord, we come before you, Daniel, myself,
Mm.
and whoever the heck's watching, because I actually can't see. But thanks for watching. If
Yes.
you would join us in prayer, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Lord, I
Yeah.
just lift up Daniel right now, and I just pray over him and what he's doing. And he's doing these awesome live chats. And I'm humbled that he asked me to join. And he's got other speakers he's already spoken with, and then future plans, Lord. But I would just ask, Lord, that you protect him, that you guide him, that you give him wisdom on just questions to ask. And at the end of the day, that you would be glorified and that those who are tuning in would just find comfort and
Mhm.
encouragement and just be able to look to you at the end of these live chats, Lord, and that they'd grow closer to you through them. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
And Father, Lord, I pray for Kristen as well, and for Jake, and for the whole family. Thank you so much for an awesome sister like Kristen, and bring her into my life. And those that know Kristen, that she's a blessing to each and every one of those people, and to our viewers as well. I just pray for a tremendous double portion blessing over her life, over Jake and the household, and the family. I just pray to that. Um, that everybody that is affected by this coronavirus, that they be healed as well, that you meet their needs with health and with their finances, and that through this season, that this would be a wake-up point, that those that have not put their faith in you, that they would come to repentance, that it's not too late, as long as they're breathing, because you this is the reason why we have hope and we have life, is because of your son Jesus. And so we thank you so much for that. I just pray for everybody that's watching, Lord, just give them protection as well throughout this whole
Mhm.
pandemic, and just bless us the rest of the day and the rest of the week during this Easter weekend. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Have a
Yeah.
happy Easter.
Yeah. Happy Easter to you. Yeah. I just realized as I was praying, it's Passion Week, leading up to Easter. So,
Yeah.
um, no matter, and speaking of Easter, this Sunday, actually this whole weekend, get log on to a church online, whether it's Harvest or Saddleback, Free Chapel, Vision, wherever you may go, no matter where you are, it's like, at least tune in, because God's got a great plan, and got a great word, no matter which church it is, because, this Sunday, we get to celebrate our risen Savior, Jesus Christ. So, yeah. Love you, sister. Thank you so
Love
much.
you. Thank you.
And say hi to Jake from me. And
I will.
and when everything is normal, we'll go out and get some Thai food or poke again. So,
Yes.
yeah. All righty. Thank you, sister.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank
And guys,
you. Bye.
yeah, of course, guys. And tomorrow I have Whitney Wood, and Friday Chris and Sandy. So please tune in for those talks. It's going to be great. And if you have any questions, just give us shoot any one of us a message. We'll be more than happy to talk to you. All right, peace and blessings, guys. God bless you guys. I love you all. Be safe, and